So I wanted to wait until this event was completely over to actually give my thoughts on it, so I could actually see how it would progress over time, if it would be buggy at the start and then not at the end, or if it would be buggy all the way through, or if it would be a 2014 egg hunt, or if it wouldn't be. And all I could say about it is, just like the holiday games, it was okay. It was nothing special. You walked around, you got some hats. But even the holiday games had more effort put into them than this fucking event. For starters, the holiday games had 4 games in them, whereas this Easter event only had 3. And the 3 games in this Easter event were mini games. Well, at least 2 of them would be classified as mini games. The other one would just be classified as a close quarters game. And before I go any further, take it from one of the actual developers who made a game for this egg hunt, or as I like to call it, dev hunt. This is what he had to say, and it's his own opinion on how the egg hunt was. So before I even start talking about this event, I just want you to listen to what he has to say. He didn't record it or whatever. It's a forum post, so I'm going to have to read it out. And you'll have to excuse me if I mess up. So anyway, let's get started. Whether or not it happens is anyone's bet. Roblox will keep to developer made for the foreseeable future. It only makes sense to have the content creators, developers, create the events now rather than the staff who work on the platform to make content creation possible. However, I felt this year's event was lacking due to the fact that there were 3 developers, each with their own specific tasks to work on for the event. We were given about 1 month to create this event, but truly it was only about 2 weeks before the event was meant to start that we got the assets, eggs, for the event. So work could only really properly start then. I did my best with the time I had, but then with only 1 week remaining, I had to turn on my heel and scrap everything I had previously done and instead try to create an egg hunt after reading too many complaints from many sources about how they wanted the egg hunt, not a dev hunt. So the current event that I have up was made in 5-day or in the 5-day week, Monday to Friday. I feel as if I could have made it a lot better given more time, but regardless, I gave my best effort given what time I had. What I want to see for Egg Hunt 2016 is a more communal effort on this event. People were discussing the possibility of having multiple developers from Roblox Dev or RBX Dev working on a single project for Egg Hunt 2016. I think this would be fantastic. There are many fantastic builders and scripters on Roblox Dev who are well capable to creating professional level quality work for the Egg Hunt. I have even seen a project worked on by Share Your Cubs and ASAD, which was intended for Egg Hunt 2015. It was absolutely outstanding looking, a higher design quality that I had ever seen before in any previous Egg Hunt. Unfortunately, I cannot link any images, and the place is private. Personally, this was the first and last event that I will take part in, going by the game reskin setup, even if I'm lucky enough to be offered a place in a future event. There was nothing done wrong on the admin side. It was very well organized on their part, and everything was executed perfectly in order to get the event done. I just feel as if in the future, something as important of an event as the Egg Hunt will need more than reskins of current games, rather be its own dedicated game like it has been for the past several years. That has worked well, and I hope they consider a large-scale developer created one. Now, that sounds all fine, and it sounds like a great idea. Why not have all the developers get together and work together on one giant event, rather than have them work together independently on each of their games and meet a certain deadline and then be rushed because, well, Roblox hasn't been able to give them the assets in time that, for them to actually start creating their place around it. So it's kind of hard to create something when you don't have the main assets for it. So it's like saying, okay, make the egg hunt. We're not going to give you the eggs to hide them anywhere. We're just going to assume that you'll make hiding places in advance. And in Ripe Ball minigames, there were many places that you could have hidden eggs, but were empty. Like, there used to be a tower where you used to do an obby, but there was no egg on the top of the obby. It was just blank space. There was lots of places you could have hid them, but only few places actually got them, because I believe there was only like 22 eggs in this whole event, and then 6 of them were spread out across all the games. And then each game got, I don't know which number, but it was a small number compared to the big egg hunts, where you can actually just traverse around the map and just get all the eggs. But, see, there's another problem. Because a few days before Rypal made this post, Slingshot Junkie, an actual moderator for Roblox, came out and said something about the whole communal effort. Now, he's just a moderator, so what he is saying, he cannot be really sure of. He even states in the post that he's, because he's not a part of the engagement team or the events team, he can't really say for sure, but this will start to make sense as to why I'm bringing this up. So let me read his post to you, and once again, it's another forum post. I apologize for reading it out to you guys, but if I were to put it up on the screen and make you read it, you might not be able to read it all in time. So I'll read it for now. I should not this before I say anything. That must have been just like a little typo. It doesn't really matter. I'm a part of the community engagement team, and we don't work very closely with the team that organizes events. Sorry, I messed up there. He is a part of the community engagement team, but he doesn't work with the events team. I screwed that up while I was looking at it. So this is mostly conjecture. Disclaimers aside, let's dive in. I do agree with you that an original map would be better. I doubt many would argue otherwise. I'm not going to say that much a thing would be impossible, though, as much as I will say that I think I know why they didn't do it this year at least. First and foremost, it is simply easier to include more people on the project if they use in pre-existing games, and personally I think that the eggs were tied into the games pretty well. The second reason is that collaborative building on a single map is difficult. I remember there being an event, not sure what year it was, where in several of the top developers in 2008 won a contest to be able to build these next big showcase games for Roblox. The concept was awesome, and I even got to participate in some capacity, but the event failed. The maps got made, but none of them were ready on time, and most of them were okay at best. The point is that it would need to be something that was sent into motion far in advance, and then we would have to hope it would work out. I don't think it's impossible, though the 2008 and 2009 Halloween event were made by players, and those were awesome. I also have a feeling that the games team will have new ideas up their sleeves for next year. I appreciate the ideas and suggestions here on this thread. Thanks for the post. This was in response to a post basically talking about the whole concept of people working together. And now, I'm sorry for doing this to you again. It's a really small post, but yet another post by a moderator, this time GordonRocks24, and this is in response to somebody saying, why can't the games team just make their own game, and why do they need developers? So this is Gordon Rocks' response. I'll just try and do it as fast as I can. It's a pretty small team, however, that isn't really why we are using community developers in our events. Roblox is about user-generated content, and we plan to showcase and use it as often as we can, including through events. The way that we do that may change, however, that's the direction we're going. Now, why am I subjecting you to all this reading? You must be bored by now, and you're saying you're going to read more shit to us. The reason I'm showing this to you guys is basically Rypal said that there should be a whole communal effort and that everybody should, and all these developers should get together to make one big game. Slingshot Junkie on a previous post says that last time they tried that, it didn't work that well. However, there was a instance where it did work. But then near the end, he brings up that the developer team, or the events team, may have something new up their sleeves. But then when you go even further back to Gordon Rocks' comment, you find out that this is going to be the direction that Roblox is going. So, communal efforts are pretty much, it's not going to happen according to Slingshot Junkie. Alright? I don't know if Roblox will go for it or if they won't go for it. But from a moderator, just, as you saw, they are saying that the possibility is, there's a small chance that it would ever happen. And then it talks about the developers having something up their sleeves, like the events team. But I don't understand how the events team can have any participation in these developer-made events if it's going to be developer-generated events? Like, I don't know if you noticed that, but how is it that the, events team is going to provide, all these cool features when it's the game developers making the events? Like, are you going to give the assets to the game developers and tell them what to do with it? Because basically what you're saying is they're going to have all these new ideas, but we're going to have to pass those ideas down onto the developers because now we're going for developer-driven content. And that's the direction that apparently Roblox is going, according to Gordon Rocks. So, communal effort is probably not going to happen. How the events team is going to chime in these new ideas when everything is, developer-driven is, it's, I don't know how the fuck you're going to do that. And then Gordon Rocks saying that all this is going to be the whole thing. Meanwhile, you have RidePaul coming out saying that on this developer-made event, it's not the first time it has been done. This has been going on for a while on Roblox. But this is actually what you would kind of call a bit of a failure in terms of developer events. So Roblox is headed in the direction of Roblox-made events, or in developer-made events, I should say. Yet, the developers are coming out and saying that they don't have enough time to make these games. And just like the whole communal effort, as Slingshot Junkie was talking about, he says that when the games finally came out, after being, after these games were finally completed, communal effort, they were okay at best. So, if a communal effort is going to create results that are okay at best, then what are independent developers going to make? Below average? Like, I'm not bashing developers. I'm not saying that they're making bad stuff. But given what the developers are saying, it doesn't seem like they have lots of time to transform their games here. And, you say RidePaul only has 5 days to make this event. It's supposed to be given a month. 2 weeks in, then he gets the assets for the game. The egg hunt was fast when it actually came on, which is okay. I mean, it's fast. It was on time and stuff, rather than late and, rushed out the door. But still, you saw RidePaul's game going up and him building it, and then the whole forum spamming it and stuff. That was completed in, a fairly fast amount of time. But then you look at Super Bomb Survival, and you look at the Twisted Murder. What has changed? It's almost as if it was, they just waited there doing nothing for 2 weeks until the assets came in, and then they just implemented these eggs into their game to drop around the map randomly. Because the maps in the Twisted Murder were the same. The maps in the Super Bomb Survival were pretty much the same. However, RidePaul went the extra step, and with the 5 days, actually made an entire egg hunt. Now, even though this egg hunt was okay, I still give props to RidePaul for managing to pull that together and actually create a hunt as an independent game developer. No communal effort, and the only intervention from Roblox was really just them giving them assets, according to this forum post. I don't know if Roblox actually came in there and helped them out, but, what it looks like from this forum post, he made his own egg hunt, and he made it to the way that the community actually wanted it. So I congratulate RidePaul for actually doing it. But now I'm going to actually talk about the whole egg hunt and how it was overall and some of the problems with it, now that we're done with the reading. So let's get started. So, we're going to talk about the eggs. One of the main things about an egg hunt, that's why it's called an egg hunt, so it's best to start off talking about the eggs. So I got a list here made by Hunty512, thanks to his forum post, and it basically details how to find all the eggs, and it doesn't give away their exact location, it just talks about them and what you need to do with them. So the first one is the race car egg. This egg spawns randomly on each game. Simply touch it to receive it. The egg will drive away from you if you try to get near it. Simple. You just put it in the corner. The sharing egg of gifting. This egg spawns randomly on each game. To receive it, someone must pick it up and touch you with the egg. Simple. The bird egg. Now on RidePaul minigames, unfortunately, one of the problems with the game was that this egg, along with another egg, broke, and no matter how many times you tried to get it, it wouldn't let you get it. It was a pain in the ass. And basically what you had to do is this little bird egg would fly around, and you would wait for it to sit down and hope that no fucktard in the region would come by and purposely scare it away by jumping on it thinking, ooh, it's an egg. Maybe if I stand on it for 20 fucking minutes, I'll get it. Once you got rid of that, those retards, when it finally rested down on the ground, you could jump down onto it and you could get it. However, if you weren't, if it was flying around and it just so happened to fly over your head, it would drop egg on you. And this was one of the eggs that went to all the different games. It was one of those eggs that went all over the place. One of those special 6 eggs, along with the race car, and I think the sharing egg of gifting. And now, that's all fine and dandy, but when you're trying to play the Twisted Murderer and you got fucking egg on your screen, kinda hard to avoid a murderer. I'm just saying. The next one was the Hipster Egg of Retro, and basically, you needed to have a hat that was made in either 2008 or prior to 2008. Now, the cheapest hat that let's say you're just new, joining to the game, you want to partake in the fucking egg hunt, you see videos online, you think, ooh, there's an egg hunt going on. And you go to join Roblox and you have your 10 tickets, and you realize, well, the first thing you realize, you can't customize your character because of the fucking price floor. Second thing you notice, if you wanted to get all the eggs, you needed to have a hat that was, before 2008, or was made before, or actually on 2008, or in 2008, I should say. Now, the problem with that is, if you look at some of the hats, the cheapest hats starting at 10 tickets don't go really as far as 4 years. That's not far enough at all. That will get you to 2011. You still got quite some ways to go. So, what some people suggested was the Ninja Mask of Light. And that was 5 years old, and that actually went to 2008. Or it says 6 years now, or it was updated 6 years ago. So you needed that, but how much is the Ninja Mask of Light, or the Ninja Mask of Shadows? They're both made in the same amount of time. Well, the Shadows one is 12 Robux. Now, I don't know the conversion rate on that, but I believe each ticket or each Robux is now worth like something like stupid, something stupid like 14 fucking tickets. Instead of it just being normal 10, it's now 14 because, hey, Roblox economy, everybody, it works. And then the Ninja Mask of Light is 80 tickets. Sorry, I keep screwing things up. 80 tickets is the equivalent of 8 days. Now, considering, like, if you just join the game, well, there's going to be a problem. Like, not the actual egg hunt, but Roblox itself. That problem is, well, see, by the time you get enough tickets to get that hat, or that mask, or whatever, the egg hunt would probably already be over. Considering when you started and you actually figured out that the Hipster Egg needs a 2008 or prior to 2008 hat, you better hope that you've had some tickets saved up, or you're screwed. You can't you can't get that whole collection. But even if you got the whole Hipster Egg, there was still a lot of other eggs that were just fucking horrible, or just super hard to get. And yes, there needs to be a challenge in an egg hunt, but some of these were just fucking stupid. So let's continue. Oh, and here's a great example of it. The Admin's Egg of Mischief. Oh god, people were just having fun with this one, because it was stupid. Whenever a Roblox administrator just so happened to join your game, it's not like, everybody would follow those admins. He would just so happen to pop into your fucking game. There was a chance that these eggs might spawn. Now, I don't know, in a server of 20, let's say you're playing Ripal minigames, server 20, maybe 15. I'll say 15 being generous, or I don't know what the whole max number was. Let's say 15 or 12 or whatever. That means that the admin has to spawn the eggs 12 times, and 12 people have to find it. So your chances of actually getting it before the admin either fucks off from either being, annoyed by a bunch of greedy little people asking for Robux, or just, needs to go to other games and stuff, you have to get that. Before he leaves, you have to get it. And if you don't, well, you're fucked. But there was a way around this. You could pay 25 Robux, or whatever the fuck it is, to Taymaster himself for you to create a private server, or Tyler McBride to create a personal server, or a VIP server. Because, in a fucking egg hunt, what's not better than having people who have, a higher chance of getting eggs because they paid? There's nothing greater than that in a fucking egg hunt. Rather than everybody be equal, rather, it's better to have people in VIP servers who can have an admin on speed dial who will come to their game and spawn the egg in for them. That's just fucking perfect. But I actually ended up getting invited to a VIP server, so I thank whoever that was. But still, what? Admins can join into the games and give eggs to people who are in a VIP server? Well then, what about all the people who can't afford a VIP server, who cannot fork over that 25 Robux to the Taymaster God himself, God of fucking Gmod ripoffs? The next one is the Beehive Egg of Infinite Stings. The egg spawns randomly on Super Bomb Survival and all the other not all the other games, Super Bomb Survival and Ripal mini games. Simply touch it to receive it. Beware of bees. Now, when you're on the oak tree and you're trying to get the egg, it can be a bit annoying. Basically, what you have to do, there's a giant-ass oak tree, and the whole process of getting up there was fucking crazy. You had to play a riddle game, so you have to go to a tower, jump on a flagpole, jump up onto the top of the map, walk over to a fucking oak tree that is huge that you couldn't get up any other way. And then there is an invisible jump pad that you have to jump on. Why did there need to be an invisible jump pad in the first place? And then, once you're up there, after spending maybe 5 minutes trying to get the fuck up there, screwing around on the flag, aiming it correctly, and 10 tries later, after, trying to find the secret little spot where to jump, you will land on the tree. But, if you're trying to get close to the Beehive Egg, then the bees will come out, and if you get stung, it's pretty much an insta-kill. What you have to do is you have to walk past the bees. I'm giving advice on how to get these eggs, but the whole event's over. But I'm just giving you an idea of what it was. Walk past, let the bees follow you, jump over the bees, get the egg, and then get the hell out of there before you die. Or just jump off the tree. Now, on Super Bomb Survival, it drops randomly. Now, if you're trying to run around a field getting eggs, it's probably not a good idea to drop an egg that's going to sting the ever-living fuck out of you and insta-kill you. Not a good idea. It should have been on Twisted Murder, but even if it was on Twisted Murder, it would probably block the long, narrow hallways of some of the maps on there that were not designed for a fucking egg hunt. The Thunderstorm Egg. Just like the Beehive Egg, except even more fucking annoying. Especially when you're on Super Bomb Survival. This egg, whenever it got hit by a bomb, would fly around the map, and if you just so happened to be in its fucking way, would get insta-killed by it. But on Ripal mini games, it was actually it was on in a tower, but it was on top of the tower. So you had to do the same thing as the Beehive Egg. You had to jump on the flag, but this time you landed on top of the roof of the tower, and then you would somehow try and get it without getting stung. And it would float in the air, so you'd have to time it just right, and it was annoying, especially on Super Bomb Survival. So then there's the Fancy Egg of Fabulous. And basically what you had to do was you had to enter in a music ID. So I get the whole point of creativity when you're trying to hide eggs, but making it to where when I'm in a lobby for maybe 30 seconds and I have to run upstairs and type in this ID is fucking bullshit when all these idiots who have boom boxes on their backs, instead of actually using these boom boxes that they paid for by basically putting money onto their Roblox using real life money and then transfer it into Twisted Murderer cash. They buy these boom boxes and then they can play whatever music they fucking want, but just have to make it their job to block out the radio. So if people really want the fabulous egg, they're screwed. Because they can't type in the ID. They'll block the number, or they'll block the spot where you can actually click the button. Or if people would put in their own stupid fucking songs while you're trying to get this egg. And it's just annoying. We're relying on the community to not fuck up, your attempts at trying to get this egg. And when you did get the egg, everybody just rushed to it. People never knew how to open it. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that you have to do that? Am I supposed to go to his Twitter? Like, why do I have to go to his Twitter to find out how to get that? I don't know how it was first found out. But the whole idea of a music ID was an okay idea. But if everybody could enter it into their own, you know how you have your own stereo in the game, that would have been great. However, you have to enter it into a public radio, which is just bullshit. The Mad Egg. So this egg is awarded to the winner of the Murder Madness, or I guess Murder Madness is like everybody's a murderer and they go around and kill each other. And that's all fine and dandy, but once again, we're dealing with a Gmod knockoff, and of course they're not going to port together, and they're not going to port the actual, features of the real Gmod murderer. Instead, they're going to make it to where instead of a knife that slowly spins in the air and has a smoke effect, so you know when to get the fuck out of the way, they decided that we're going to have a knife that is really fast, has no smoke effect unless you probably pay for it or whatever stupid fucking, in-game transactions there are. We're going to make this knife that's really fast, and if you just so happen to be in its way and you're unable to dodge it, well, you're fucked. And then we're going to make it to where if you have tons of our in-game currency that you bought and paid for with Roblox, which you bought and paid for with real-life money, we're going to give you a laser knife. Because what's more fun than a fucking laser knife? Now, Gmod Murderer, as far as I'm aware, is about stealth and not getting caught by the fucking detective. Not go around, throw your laser knife, and just give away your position. Like, there's some aspect of hiding in the game, but when you got name tags everywhere, I know they get hidden behind walls, but when you got name tags, it's kind of hard to hide in places, especially when the maps are so fucking small. The Mad Egg, I didn't get it. I didn't really take the time out of my day to screw around with the Twisted Murder eggs, and basically, that whole concept is pretty much the same with the Billy Egg, the Phantom Eggs. You had to kill the fucking, you had to kill the murderer, and there would be a small chance that the Phantom Egg would drop. Now, providing that you kill the murderer at the start of the round, well, if the egg does drop, everybody's still alive. They can go run over it, and then your chances of getting the egg are just fucking zip. And people were actually complaining about it, and fucking Taymaster came back with a reply that pissed off the forums. I don't know what the hell it was. I'll put it up on the screen. But the Billy Egg is, what is this? This egg is rarely spawned from the sheriff when they are killed, the sheriff showdown. So everybody's a sheriff instead of a fucking murderer. So the eggs on Twisted Murder are pretty much like these exclusive eggs were either fucking stupid or they were really hard to get. Oh, and there was the Egg of Innocence. This is rarely spawned when a bystander is killed. Yeah, I never saw any of those eggs. All I saw was that stupid bird egg that was obstructing my view, the fucking race car and the hipster egg, that people would try and get the hipster egg, wouldn't even have enough time to read the text on there, and then be killed by a flying knife.